we always talk about when you go to clinic, if you can just get one idea.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I hope that I can reach a lot of people in the coaching profession to make sure you do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself and don't push it aside. And that's one thing that I found out since this has happened, especially the prostate, is so many guys that I have gotten calls from that have had it, and so many of them are dealing with it now. And you never know. You never know. But once you put it out there, people are willing to reach out to you. And I'm always here. I'm always available. And I'm just so glad that I've been able to touch some of the people that I've been able to touch and talk to since my diagnosis.
Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm. This week, we're joined by Woody McCorvey, the Chief of Staff for Clemson Football. In this episode, Coach McCorvey reflects on his decades in the coaching profession and shares how he has faced adversity head-on throughout his career, including his courageous fight through multiple battles with cancer. But first, a word from CoachComm.
Deuce left, check with me. If they're in quarters match, we're going to Pittsburgh or Ohio.
They're in zero.
Let's go Hippo, Seattle, wide choice. If we call the protection right, it's 6.
When a play call is the difference between winning and losing, your headset choice could be your most important decision. When the call counts, CoachComm is the only choice for clear, dependable communication. Visit CoachComm.com for more info.
We got it, guys. Good job.
Follow Inside the Headset on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. We drop new episodes each week, so hit that follow button and never miss a moment. Now, let's get inside the headset with Coach McCorvey.
Coach McCorvey, how we doing?
I'm doing good this morning. How about you?
I'm excited about taking a walk down memory lane here with you, and talking about some serious stuff. So I'm super excited about the opportunity to chat with you, and let's go ahead and dive right on into this thing. The first question we always start the podcast off with is, when did you know you wanted to be a part of this great profession?
Early on, back, even before I was 5 years old, my dad was a high school principal down in Alabama. And my high school coach that was working with him at the time, Coach Mosby, I used to sit on the back porch. I mean, when we lived in a rural area, I used to sit on the back porch and watch the football team practice. And I knew then I wanted to be a part of the game. And then just traveling around with Dad on Friday nights, going to watch Coach Mosby and his team play. I knew at that time that I definitely wanted to be a part of this game, not only as a player, but as a coach also.
Yeah, I always interesting to see how people kind of get their start. You had the opportunity to go play at collegiately at Alabama State. And, I think as you sit in that chair now and have been at the collegiate level for a long time, you know how it is once you finish that degree, you finish that eligibility, how scary the world can look from that view when you're trying to figure out what's next. And your first opportunity was in 72 at J.M. Tate Senior High School. And I think in this profession, the first obstacle is kind of kicking through the door and getting that first job. So how did you go about getting started in your coaching career?
Well, after I graduated from Alabama State, I had the opportunity to play there for 4 years. I knew I was going to move on in the coaching profession. And I had an opportunity to stay in Montgomery at one of the local high schools there. But then the opportunity came along down at Tate High School. And I was very fortunate there to be a part of a staff coached by Carl Madison, who at the time, I knew he was from Atmore, Alabama. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
And we ended up working together there for 6 years. And it was very good to me to be around him. Because he was so forward-thinking, and he gave me a lot of opportunities in terms of going to AFCA conventions. And I never will forget early on in my career there, he took me on a trip out to University of Houston to visit with Coach Yeoman at the time, Billy Willingham, who was the offensive coordinator, Elmer Red, and all of those guys, and we ended up putting in split back veer there at Tate. So that was my first offense that I was able to be a part of and run as a coach.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you definitely hear your fair share of college coaches taking an opportunity to go and visit, other colleges, but I think it's a little bit more rare for, at the very least, for a guy to, travel to a whole nother state to go visit with a collegiate staff. Why was he so willing to, travel for this and bring you as a young guy along with him?
Well, one thing, he had been a T formation guy at that time, and he knew he had to branch out and do some things different. He had a background of early on coaching in the state of Florida. He had also gone over to the Atlanta, Georgia area at Forest Park, and then when he took the job there at Tate, he knew he had to do some things to change some things because there was a lot of good football programs there in the Pensacola area. And our talent at the time probably was not as good as some of those other programs. And he knew the split back veer could be an equalizer for us. And it really paid off because I ended up leaving, but eventually he ended up winning the state championship there.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys were willing to kind of see your personnel and then obviously make the adjustments to it. Now, having that exposure early on, I know you end up going down the road has been a very prolific offensive coach, a bunch of skill positions, great offensive coordinator. Just having that experience early on, just getting to go sit down with the staff and see how they do things, how helpful for you in the long run was that for your career to have that experience so early on?
Well, it was very good. And, by us having the success that we had a lot of people coming through, recruiting our players and all. And early on, I was able to meet guys like Mac Brown, Mickey Andrews, Carl Torbush, Danny Ford, and all of those guys coming through recruiting. And in particular, one guy named Jim Dyer, who was on Coach Major's staff out at Iowa State, University of Pittsburgh, and at Tennessee. And he asked me one day if I thought about getting into college coaching. And I told him, I said, yes. I said, but it would be hard. He said, well, I'm going to help you. And a guy named Ray Green got the job at North Carolina Central that was on the staff with Jim out at Iowa State. He called Ray, and Ray ended up giving me an opportunity to come up to interview for the job. He offered me the job. And not only there at North Carolina Central, I went to Alabama A&M with him for 4 years. So I was on Ray's staff at North Carolina Central and Alabama A&M for 5 years, and that really paid off. Yeah, that
kind of segues right into my next question there. Obviously, making that jump from the high school to the collegiate level, especially early on, you're able to coach for 6 years, kind of in one spot. You look at your career path, you understand the business now for sure that, you got to be willing to get up and pack up and move. How eager were you to take on that opportunity? Obviously, it's going to be a big difference from coaching high school to college, but at the same time, packing your stuff up from Florida and moving to North Carolina and kind of on this kind of beginning this journey. Was there any anxiety? I don't know if that's the right word, but was there any angst as you're taking this first job and packing up and kind of attacking this thing?
Well, I knew, just from looking back in the past, a lot of coaches, that in this profession, you're going to have to move. And the biggest thing was, I had spent time in getting a master's degree while I was there at Tate.
Oh, okay.
Also, my wife, she worked and got her master's because at that time, the money wasn't real big in this profession. And so it took both of us. It took both of us for me to be able to navigate through this profession and to go on where I have been able to go to. And then you got a young son that's going to have to be changing schools and all of that. And she made that possible for us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I knew in order for me to be able to do and achieve for us what I really wanted to be able to do, that I was going to have to make that next step. And it all paid off.
Absolutely. Now, in 78, when you took that, when you made that leap to North Carolina Central, if there was anything to kind of summarize that trip, that 1 year there, especially I know you guys began a really prolific offensive run. I know it was a lot more apparent there Alabama A&M. But how would you summarize, that first collegiate job, that first big move, all these big things that are happening in your life at that time?
Well, one thing that happened, when I left Tate, I was fortunate enough that I had coached on the offense there for 4 years. And my last 2 years there, I was the secondary coach.
Okay.
But going to North Carolina Central, it was a little bit different. I was the backfield coach, so I had the quarterbacks and all of the running backs, and it was a lot more expanded. But one thing I saw, and what I had to do, you had to spend a lot of time in preparing and exploring to coach on this level.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Ray Green giving me that opportunity to be able to do that. And then when we went down to Alabama A&M after just 1 year with him, he made me the offensive coordinator.
Oh, wow.
And that even made things a lot broader. And just to think that I was out of high school just for 1 year. And in 1 year, I ended up being offensive coordinator there at Alabama A&M.
Yeah. Oh, that's a crazy journey. But you said something that kind of resonated with me a little bit. Not necessarily the same journey as yourself, but I coached high school out of college for 3 years, and then I made a jump to the collegiate level. And that was probably one of the most eye-opening things, all that time as a teacher and coach, you're spending doing other stuff. But obviously you step in the collegiate ranks, it's just ball all day long. It's recruiting and ball. And, I was almost drowning at times in how much information, how many different pass protections and checks and, all the things that kind of come along with it. So as you were, getting that experience that first year, especially dealing with the quarterbacks in the backfield and, probably, every part's important, but obviously the battery of this whole deal, how challenging was that as a young coach, just kind of stepping into this thing and having a big responsibility in offensive production at North Carolina Central before you get in your OC job?
Well, one thing, Ray Green was, when he took the job in North Carolina Central, he came from Michigan State. He had worked with Dale Rogers there, who ended up being the head coach of the Detroit Lions. So he had a big background in the passing game. And that was able to help me make that next step because in college I was in a run-oriented offense mostly, same thing, coaching split back veer there at Tate High School, and then all of a sudden being able to be versed in the passing game. And that really helped me. But the other thing, now I got to recruit. And the thing that helped me is I had a good area there in North Carolina to recruit. But then going back to Alabama and the state where I grew up, I ended up knowing a lot of high school coaches. A lot of the coaches in the state where I was going to recruit, a lot of those guys I had played against, played with, and all that gave me an opportunity to kind of be selective, and they knew the type of people that we wanted in our program.
Yeah. And
I was able to recruit a guy out of Pensacola, Florida, where I started out, named Ananias Harris. And he was a very good passer. And that's why we were able to do a lot of things we did at Alabama A&M in our offense because of a guy like Ananias Harris, who ended up signing a free agent contract with the Steelers.
Oh, wow. Well, that's awesome. You're able to kind of use those connections both as a player, coach, and coach down there in Florida. So you get to Alabama A&M as the offensive coordinator. If you can remember that first year there as the OC, what were some of those lumps? Some of those things you had to go in and learn just the hard way. Being still a very young coach in the profession.
Well, they had some success there, and unfortunately, the head coach there and the staff was let go, and that's how Ray Green ended up getting the job. And but in 1979, we ended up going to the playoff. That first year, we played Morgan State, the opening round of the playoff. We won, and the next ball game we had to travel up to Youngstown State and play up there. One thing I remember was how cold it was that December day in Youngstown, Ohio. And things didn't go well for us. But we were able to come back and put things together, both sides of the football. And we ended up having a lot of success there. And another guy joined our staff the following year was John Chavis. John was our defensive coordinator, and I'm the offensive coordinator. And we ended up having some very good football teams with a lot of good football players on it. And one thing that I'm proud of, and can go back, John and I shared the same office. But in 1996, while I was there at Alabama, we went to play in Knoxville. And I was offensive coordinator for Alabama, and John was the defensive coordinator for Tennessee.
Wow.
And that was a really good tribute for the program at Alabama A&M, with a guy like Ray Green to put a staff together like he had.
Yeah. I mean, that's for some foresight, to say the very least, have two SEC coordinators, on your staff in their younger versions, in their early versions, especially for yourself, being a first time caller. Just highlighting one of the things that kind of stood out. You were number 6 in the country in rushing offense in 2002. 1981 at the Division II level. Obviously was able to create some success, but in 83 you had some change. You move on to Clemson to take the tight ends coach and wide receivers job. How did that opportunity arise? Obviously you mentioned being the OC at Alabama, but you kind of kicked in the door to the FBS level, Division I level at that time, I guess is what they were calling it. How were you able to kind of kick that door down and begin your career, at that rank?
There was a change here on the staff at Clemson at the time, and Coach Ford reached out to Pat Dye. And John and I used to go down to Auburn in the spring and watch them practice. And I got to know Coach Dye just on those visits a couple times. And then 2 of my teammates at Alabama State, James Daniel and Joe Whitt, was on his staff. And Coach Dye recommended me to Danny Ford. And that's how I got to Clemson. And, coming here, that was a big step. A lot of people say you can't get out of a HBCU
right,
and jump to this level at that time. But I always had it in mind that I was going to be able to do that because of my hard work and dedication, because of the love I had for the game. And I appreciate Coach Ford giving me an opportunity to come here. And I appreciate Coach Dye recommending me to be able to come here. And on this level, it really paid off. Clemson was my foundation, and that's why I was able to continue on and be able to do the things that I'm still doing now on this level.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things I noticed, I know you had the opportunity to be an OC, so you had the whole offense kind of at your reach. But from a position group standpoint, I don't think at that time you had ever coached the tight ends, and that was one of your opportunities there. How did you prepare yourself? Just to, once again, I know you knew about tight end play, but just to be the tight ends coach, how did you make sure that you were prepared to kind of give your best with those position groups?
Well, one thing. Starting out on the high school level, you had to prepare for everything.
That's right, yeah.
And one of the biggest things, when I started out at Tate, I coached 9th grade football. I was a 9th grade coach. I had the whole offense.
That's right.
And a guy named Floyd Adams had the whole defense. And we went to some of the rec league teams in our area there in Pensacola. And I got some guys to help me on offense and got some guys to help Floyd on defense. So I early on, I had to start preparing.
Yeah.
Not only, the tight ends, I had to work with 9th grade offensive linemen, backfield, and everything.
Yeah. And
once I knew what I was going to be coaching here at at Clemson, I really got involved in it. The other good thing that I was able to go off in the spring and visit other people and see what they were doing. And then other thing, we was able to recruit some very good football players here. I had 3 guys, Jim Riggs, K.D. Dunn, and James Coley, that ended up going on playing in the NFL from here as tight end.
Now, especially when people see the logo on your chest right now, obviously your next stop being Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi State, which ultimately is kind of the mecca of college football, at least in this very moment. The SEC is, continues to kind of show its dominance. Could you foresee that at that point in time? What was the ball to a certain extent, like not still the same, but you know what I'm saying? Was it still that essence of, man, these Deep South football is just something a little different, or were we a little too early for that?
The competition in the South it's always been big. The whole state of Alabama, Florida, where I started out, and state of Georgia, here in South Carolina, football is really important in the formative years on the high school level. And I'm glad that I was able to be a part of that, especially with my high school coach, kind of instilling that in me at an early age. But spent 19 years now in the SEC. And I look at Clemson right here where we are. We're sitting right in the middle of Georgia, University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, Auburn, and Alabama. And we're right in the thick of it. University of South Carolina down the road.
Right.
And, football has meant a lot to a lot of people, especially in this state, for bragging rights and all. When I came along, especially for the black athlete, if you wanted to play on this level, you had to go north. Michigan State probably had more black athletes at the time playing on that level than anywhere. And then when everything broke here in the South, especially the day when Sam the Bam Cunningham came to Legion Field in Birmingham, and they ended up beating Alabama. That opened up things there in the state. And Coach Bryant gave Wilbur Jackson and John Mitchell an opportunity to come there and play, and things start getting better. And now if you look at everything that's going on, kids don't have to leave the South to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good football pros, ACC, SEC, and facilities second to none. And that's the thing that I'm really proud of, to see the changes that have been made, and they all have been made for the good.
Absolutely. Now, I love that you bring that point up, because I do want to ask. I remember, I'm thinking of 1996, 97. I'm a freshman in high school. I don't know exactly where Sylvester Croom was at this point in time, but I remember it was such a big deal. I think he was the first African-American head coach in the SEC. But I'm looking at kind of your career trajectory. I mean, you had to be one of the earlier offensive coordinators, maybe I would imagine in the country. How was it for you as a coach? I know you mentioned players, for the black players, but as a black coach, especially in the SEC, kind of moving through the profession pretty quickly. Did you break down any barriers, or did you feel like you were carrying any of that weight, I guess, at that time?
Well, it's something that I always worked for. Never knew when it was going to happen, but I have to give Gene Stallings a lot of credit. I was on his staff there when I went there in 1990, and he saw that I had the ability to be able to do it. And in 1996, he gave me an opportunity to be able to do it. And one thing that I wanted to be able to show is that not only me, it was a lot of other guys out there that had the ability to do it. And I wanted to make sure that we were successful, and we were successful. And the thing that I like about Coach, when he named me that, he told me, he said, "Don't you worry about anything. You only got one guy that you got to answer to, and that's me." And he said, "I got your back," and that meant a lot for me to be able to step in that role. And not only that, he gave me an opportunity to coach quarterback. And that was almost unknown, to be a quarterback coach and an offensive coordinator.
Regardless of what level or anything, that was an oddity. I didn't realize that. Well, obviously that's a heck of a stint that you had there. 70-16 and one record in the first 7 years. Won the 1992 championship, and obviously had the opportunity there to forge a relationship that has kind of been able to kind of pay it back, I guess is the right terminology, with your current head coach, and Dabo Sweeney, who's played there at some point in time. In 1998, you have an opportunity to, or you leave for an opportunity at South Carolina. I'm gonna kind of lump these up here a little bit to get us to Tennessee. But so you end up in 1999, you end up over at Tennessee as the running backs coach. Tennessee has an interesting point. A little bit of why we're on this call here. In 1999, you were diagnosed with colon cancer. Just walk us through that, because this is the meat and potatoes, in my opinion, a little bit of our podcast. Even though you had a heck of a coaching career and continue to do so, just talk to us a little bit about what happened in 1999 with yourself.
Well, there's one thing that I talked to Craig Bowl about. Is the health of coaches. And sometimes we get so busy and we don't look at things the way that we should, because there's a lot of people depending on us at the house, in the building, and all. And I've always taken a physical. And when I went to take my physical in 1998, a doctor here in the state, that was a Clemson guy down in Florence, South Carolina, Lord Miller. When he finished my physical, he came in and he was talking to me, and he said that I'm gonna put you in the hospital. I said, Lord, I got to get back to Knoxville. And so he said, no, I'm gonna put you in the hospital. I said, I got to get back to Knoxville. So he quit talking, and he just started writing. And he handed me a note, and he told me, he said that when you get back, you go see the team doctor. And he said, if you don't do it, don't ever come back and see me again. And he got up and left the room. And I knew he was serious, because I had known Lloyd since 1984. And so when I got back to Knoxville, I went to see the team doctor. He set me up for colonoscopy. And boom, came back with colon cancer. And my whole world was torn apart, because, hey, just going to Tennessee that spring and trying to get adjusted and all. And here I am. And so out of the goodness of guys like Philip Fulmer, who's the head coach, Dan Brooks, John Chavis, and all those guys on the staff, I had a lot of support, not only with them, but with my wife and my son. And my mom and dad were living at the time. And so I go through it. I have surgery. And so Philip told me to take as much time as I needed. That they were going to get started. You come back whenever you feel like you can. And out of support of him, I knew I had to get back because that was just in me. Yeah. And I started from the day we started first practice. Now, was it tough? Yes, it was tough. But I was able to get through it, and was able to get through the whole season. Hey, players like Jamal Lewis and Travis Henry, Travis Stevens, all those guys looking at me every day, it made me really want to go and be there, and they all gave me support. And I was able to get through it, and thank God that I did. But from taking the physical, that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm sitting here today.
No, that's powerful right there, man. Now, out of curiosity, taking that physical, what were the, you don't have to get into details if you wouldn't like to, but what were they able to see? What were the advantages of taking that physical? Obviously, they were able to figure this out, but how in depth were they able to get to make sure that they were able to find this?
Well, on the initial exam, it came back that Lord Miller saw something, and he felt like he needed to go further. And when I got back, taking the colonoscopy, and the other thing about it, early detection. Yeah. Early detection with the colonoscopy, and that really helped a lot to be able to detect it early where you can do something about it. And it hadn't got into some of the other stages.
Yeah. What was interesting whenever we start talking about doing this podcast a few months ago, I think it was in January. I sat down. I kind of knew the premise of this whole deal, and I didn't see any holes in your work. You know what I mean? Like you would imagine a colon cancer diagnosis would equal 2 years where maybe you were away from the game, but you kind of stepped in. I know you highlighted being able to lean on your family and players and people in the building. But why for Coach McCorvey was it so important to be back on day one?
Well, I felt kind of bad because I had gone there in January. Yeah. And here we are. Tennessee had just won the national championship in '98. and had gone through spring practice. I knew the type of guys that I had in the room, the type of players that they were. I saw the work ethic that they had. And I wanted, as their coach, to be on the field with them the first day. And I was able to do that. And not only that, through a lot of prayer, that helped me. That helped me get through it. But I knew I had the support at home with my wife. I knew I had the support of the staff there, starting with Coach Fulmer.
Yeah. Well, this question might be kind of tough, but I do want to ask it. I can imagine a lot of the emotions that come with it, but I'm sure I won't even scrape half of what you were feeling in that moment. You look at your career at this point in time, I'm talking about up into this 1999 diagnosis, you hop into this profession as a high school coach, have some quick success. You're OC 2 years into the collegiate game. You're at Clemson at a blink of an eye. You're at Alabama. You're an offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. I mean, you talk about somebody writing down their dream career at this point in time. I mean, you pretty much have lived a lot of people's dream career, and you get that. What were some of the realities of it and of the adversity that you were kind of getting ready to face as you were realizing this thing was really serious?
Well, first of all, can't sleep at night. I had been there as a coach early on in my career.
Yeah.
It's tough sleeping at night knowing that you've been diagnosed with this.
Yeah.
And negative coming into your mind because you're wondering, how much longer do I have? Other thing is so much information out there, but a lot of time it's the wrong information. I'm on the internet and I'm reading, but everybody's situation is different.
Yeah.
Everyone is different. And, I'm reading all the bad stuff that has happened to everybody.
Right.
And so I say, look, I'm getting off the internet. I'm going to rely on my doctors. I'm going to rely on family, friends, and all, and we're going to get through this thing. And, by the grace of God, I was able to do it. And not only that, I know where we're going, but it helped prepare me for some other situations too down the road.
Absolutely. Well, as we mentioned here, this is year one, day one. Almost that this situation is kind of arising there, where you get diagnosed. But I think the awesome part of the story is that this happened in 1999. You were able to continue there as running backs coach there at Tennessee all the way up into 2003, where you get your next opportunity in 2004 as assistant head coach, offensive coordinator, works quarterbacks coach. You have some great opportunities there at Mississippi State. But once again, I'll let you kind of lead us into this situation. But you kind of hit another roadblock.
Yes, I was able to go down to Mississippi State and be a part of Sylvester Croom's staff. And Sylvester and I had been friends a long time. Okay. Back when he was an assistant there at Alabama, and I was up at Alabama A&M, and just conventions and recruiting and being around people and the people that you meet. He had an opportunity to interview for several jobs. And when the Mississippi State job came open, Larry Templeton, who was AD, Dr. Lee, who was the president, they went to Green Bay and talked to him on several occasions. And he turned the job down initially. And then he asked me, he said, look, if I take this job, I want you to go with me. And he said, I'm not going to go, really. He said, I don't want to go unless you go with me. And so I told him I would. And we took the job, and it was significant at the time because he became the first black head coach in the SEC.
Right. And
for me to be a part of that and to be on his staff, knowing the type of man that he was and the first staff that he put together, that was big. Now, did we know it was going to be tough? Yeah, we knew it was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be a tough situation. The first spring we was there when we went through spring practice, not trying to run anybody off, but over a period of time, 32 guys left the program just because of the way he was running the program and how he wanted to run it. And he knew that was the only way he was going to be able to achieve some success. But it took us a while. We had some significant victories while there. One thing I always say, the one season that we had, 2007, where we won 8 games, played in the Liberty Bowl and beat Central Florida, and we were able to beat Alabama 2 years in a row, 6 and 7. In 7, we also beat Alabama and Auburn the same season. That was big. That was significant. And when we left there, the program was a lot better than we found it. And that's one thing that I want to say.
Yeah, that's as you're running through that, I have memories as a guy that had no relation to any of that. I just remember how big it was, for us young black coaches in the profession, especially guys that are kind of running through the Deep South, the significance of what Coach Kroom and yourself, which I didn't really connect those dots, were doing there at the time. So appreciate you kind of being a pioneer for a bunch of young coaches in this profession. The quarterbacks thing is new to me, and then as a coordinator, and really to be in the clear of that diagnosis a little bit, 99. But what comes up here shortly is in 2008, you got diagnosed again with kidney cancer while at Mississippi State. I don't know if it was on the back end, kind of where it was in regards to you guys getting out of there, but just talk to us a little bit about this situation now.
It was on the back end, 2008, our last season there. I had gone down to Auburn, played golf with my teammates, James Daniels and Joe Witt. Went back, spent the night with my mom, and something woke me up like 2 o'clock in the morning, like somebody just kicked me in the side. And I knew it wasn't right. And so I got up and I drove back to Starkville, and I went to see, we had a function that evening, and the team doctor was there, and I told him what I felt. And he said, meet me out at the hospital in the morning, let's do an ultrasound, and let's see what's going on. So I was an avid walker, and I had gone to walk at lunch, came back, and he was standing in the back door. And I said, I said to myself, this don't look right. And so he said, no, come on in. So he went in, pulled everything up on the computer screen. He said, I see the spot here. He said, we need to do another test. He said, if it's water, it's just a cyst. He said, if it's solid, it's probably cancer. And so we did the other test, came back, it was solid. And then I said, oh, here we go again. But the main thing I wanted to be able to do, the doctor that did my surgery in Knoxville, I got to know him pretty good. And then Lloyd Miller down in Florence, South Carolina, I knew him. We got both of them on the phone. He sent the pictures to them. They were looking at the computer. And we sit there, and so he told them what he saw and what he found. And so Lloyd asked, how's his other kid? And he said, it's fine. And so both of them, about the same time, they said, take it out. And I knew, because I had, situations with them earlier. I had experience with them. Yeah. And so when they said that, I said, this is what I'm going to do. So went home, told my wife about it and all. So that's what we decided to do. And I did it in Starkville. A lot of people tried to get me to leave and go other places and all, but we did it there because I did not want a burden on her for me having to be MD Anderson, somewhere like that, Mayo Clinic. Yeah. And we did it at home where she could be there with me, and whenever she wanted to go to the house, she could go to the house. Yeah. And because it's a lot more burden on a lot of people other than just you. Right. And so that turned out all right. It turned out good. But the other thing, too, I had the blessing of a head coach who I was working for at the time, and then also all the players that I was around and the staff that I was around that helped get me through that. Yeah. First ball game, we played down at Louisiana Tech, and because of the situation there, we decided we were going to fly down the day of the game and play. instead of going down tonight because of the hotels in that area and all.
Yeah.
But I was there for the first game and went through the entire season. And by the grace of God again, I was able to get through it, and I'm still here.
Absolutely. Now, the question kind of popped up as you were telling that, telling what happened there. You mentioned that you were golfing, and then that night you had this pain in your side. I'm thinking about obviously the situation in 1999 where you go do the physical and you're able to kind of get that thing diagnosed. If you didn't have that first situation, how easy would it have been for you to pass that off as, oh man, I was golfing yesterday and my side was hurt? Do you think that you would have been such a rush to kind of go get yourself checked out if you didn't have that earlier situation, or was it such a pain that you kind of knew someone, right?
Past experiences. And the pain from playing the game of football. I had never experienced a pain like that.
Yeah.
And I knew it was something to have that type of pain, and I knew I needed to go and get it checked out. But all of us as former players and coaches and all, because we've been through the game, and ACLs, shoulder joints, knees, and all ankles. You taught to be tough. Right. And to move on. But I'm saying this, and I'm saying this to every one of us out here in the coaching profession. When you feel those things, you better go and get it checked out. And that's how far we have advanced today in the game of football. And that's why today we see so many guys coming back a lot faster because technology and medicine are so much more advanced now. And I go back and I look at a lot of guys that I played with, a lot of guys that I coached early on, where medicine is not the way it is today. They having hip replacement and knee replacements and all. And I just think you need to take heed and make sure you do the things you need to do. Yeah. Because we got a lot of people depending on us. But the biggest person that depending on us is us.
That's right. You hit the nail right on the head, kind of where I was going with the, being able, maybe passing that off as something with golf, just such the coach's nature, former football, former athlete, alpha male kind of mentality, just to, it's all good. It'll go away, or, just not take those things seriously immediately. And I appreciate you kind of highlighting the fact that, man, if something's not right, get it checked out. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen, or, worst case scenario is obviously you're able to kind of get some early detection. Best case scenario, they're able to confirm, hey, it's nothing. You can kind of continue to move on. So I appreciate you sharing that. So in 2009, he had the opportunity to reconnect with a former player and Coach Sweeney, to come back to Clemson and take over as kind of the chief of staff. After dealing with these two major things in your life, how was it like taking another job, I guess, at that point in time? Your energy level, your resilience, all those kind of things that probably you got to take into account. What was it like to be able to kind of be around to take another job?
Well, I was so happy when Dabo was able to get the job here at Clemson on a permanent basis. When he was named the interim coach, I mean, he and I, we always talk. But when he got it on the interim basis, a lot of time we would talk at night and all. And then when he got it, and when the season was over at Mississippi State, we were fired. And so, he called me up and he talked to me about coming back over here. And my son graduated from here. And my wife always loved living here in Clemson. The 7 years that we were here before, she's very close to Kathleen Dabo's wife. We all were very close there at Alabama, and he was such a joy to coach while we were there. And he gave me the opportunity to come back over here and be in the position that I'm in now. And I knew I had to do something other than coach. because when we got fired at Mississippi State, for the first time in my life, for a day, I could not get out of the bed because of everything that had gone on at the beginning of the season in 2008, and I went through that entire season. It was tough. It was tough. And I knew God was steering me probably in another direction, especially with Dabo Swinney being the head coach here at Clemson. And he gave me the chance to come back over here. And my wife wanted me to come. I mean, not only did he recruit me, he recruited Ann and my son Marlon. Yeah. And we came back, and it's been really good to be here, to be a part of his staff on a daily basis and see the progress that has been made since 2009 until today. 9 conference championships, 2 national championships, and to know that you had an opportunity to coach this man as a young man, back in 1990, and to watch him grow in the profession, see him do what he's done, and for him to give guys that's played under him opportunities the same way Coach Stallings and I did for him. I mean, it's like a dream.
Right.
It's like a dream for it to be where we are now. And this is going to be my last stop. I'm not going anywhere else.
Yeah.
This is it. And just to be around this program every day has really been good. Now, when I first came here, I asked him, what you want me to do? He said, I don't know. You decide. You do it. And as things start coming to me every day, I start putting this whole thing together. And it's evolved into the job that I'm doing now. And the other thing is on 7 Saturdays when we play here, my son, my daughter-in-law, and grandson, they're here. And I get a chance to enjoy them because all the other stops that I made, when my son would come back, I was always involved with something on Friday night with the team and all. And didn't have an opportunity and a chance to spend time with him. But now, to take it further, I got a grandson, and I'm able to spend time with him on the weekends when they come here for our ball games.
Yeah, which is probably the biggest reward of all of it. I can only imagine, just being able to, especially with some of the adversity you faced, that time is priceless, man. Man, what an amazing story. And I think probably the coolest thing about this whole deal is you just concluded your 47th season. I mean, and we've had about 400 people on this podcast. We've been doing it for a few years. And I don't think I've met anybody that's hit 50 of these things yet, man. That's big time. And you've kind of seen it all: national championships, conference championships, bringing programs alive, seeing some of them, on the wrong end of it. Man, it's kind of getting a little emotional here a little bit, man. Just kind of hearing the story once again, knowing that in 2020, you got another fight ahead of yourself. At that point in time, you were diagnosed with prostate cancer at this point in time. So, just kind of explain that situation and how you were able to kind of overcome that adversity as well.
Well, for the first time since '84, I didn't take a physical. That was because of COVID. And didn't take a physical. And the next year when we came back, and that's one thing that Coach Stallings, Philip Fulmer, Buster Broom, and Dabo wants all of his staff to take physical. So when the next spring came up, I did my physical, and I asked them to make sure they do a PSA test. And when they came back, boom, it was out of the roof. And, from the previous one that I had. And so did it bother me? Yeah. But after having gone through it twice, I had to have faith in my doctors. Dr. Porterbaum here is who does my physical every year. And so, when I sit down and initially talked to him, he felt like, I was going to be all right. And So I felt that way too from after having gone through it twice, other type of cancer. And so sitting down and talking to doctors and all, and we made the decision that I was going to take it out. And Dr. Springhard over in Greenville, he was the one that did the surgery and all, and he assured me, he said, hey, look, got it in time. I feel like you're going to be all right. And then just taking it a step further, we decided after everything was over that I should go through some radiation. So I went down to Atlanta to Emory. We did 37 treatments down there. What I would do, I would come in the office on Monday morning and would go to Atlanta for a treatment on Monday afternoon, then Tuesday morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at midday, and then Friday morning I would do a treatment and then be in the car coming back because I could be at the hospital down there in less than 2 hours. And all that worked out. The other thing, too, was having someone like Dabo as the head coach. He understood what I was going through, the staff here that I worked with on a daily basis, knew what I was going through. And it all worked out again. And I'm going back again because of the type of surgeons and doctors that I've had and the people that are around me, supporting cast, and all that's worked out and it's good. And so, again, I just encourage everybody, especially all the guys out there in the coaching profession that I've been a part of, make sure that you do all the things from a preventative standpoint and getting yourself checked out. And and I've had some guys say that they don't want to go and do a physical because they might find something. That's what you want them to do, find it. And hopefully it's early enough where you can do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, times have we all heard that. I don't want them to find something like that's a great way to put it. That's what they're there for. That's what the thing is there for. I kind of as we come to a close here, Coach. You hit as you were telling these stories. Some of my follow-up questions here at the end. You kind of already hit them pretty good, but I do want to ask you this. You think about a lot of things that happen at the college football level. You're dealing with a bunch of kids that are experiencing their first time being away from their parents, first time falling in love, first time having some responsibilities, maybe paying a cell phone bill, something like that. You really think about kind of where you're at. You got a lot of guys that are, making the league is making or breaking them in their eyes at this point in time. And you think about the profession as a whole, the pressure that comes with it, but it kind of in the seat that you're sitting in, you're able to kind of look at life maybe a little bit differently. How has your story been a great motivation for players and coaches alike? Just, been able to persevere through things that have taken people down. How have you been able to motivate and encourage people from your seat?
Well, one thing I've always wanted to do in this game is be available. That's one thing that you hear in the NFL when scouts come through and they want to talk to you about a guy having the opportunity to move on to the next level. They always talk about availability. And that's one thing with me. I want to be available to my coaches and to my players that I was in charge of. And because it's important that you are there every day, that you can be there. I mean, we all have time that we can take off when a head coach gives us time off and all. But the biggest thing is availability. In the job that I'm in here, it's a lot of people that work in this building. And, when they seek an answer or want an answer to a problem, you got to be there to kind of help get them a solution.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've always preached to my players. If you're hurt, you're hurt. But, you got to work to prevent it. You have to work to prevent it. It's a lot of work that's done here in the off season and in summers and all, just to play a regular season game.
Yeah.
you just think about you think about all the time, and the really teams that are really successful and that have really been productive year in and year out. It's because of availability, not only from the head coach, but everybody that works in that building, the equipment people, the trainers, the strength coaches, everybody that cleans the building up, and you have to do that, and if you're gonna have a degree of success, and the ones that most of the time hold up that trophy at the end of the year, that's what they've been able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coach. Well, I say this, man. We appreciate your availability. You've been able to be available for this great profession for for 47 years, and then been able to overcome these obstacles. And probably most impressive of this is been dedicated to be there day one for those young men in the middle of those seasons, because I don't think anybody would have blamed you or thought any differently if you missed any of that. But it was important to you to be there, and you probably motivated and inspired a lot of people you don't even really realize. And I think probably bigger than anything, the want to get on this podcast, and our thousands of coaches across the country, across the globe that listen to this, if just a handful of them take your advice, I mean, you changed a lot of people's lives just by sharing this story. So just directly from me to you, I appreciate you being willing to come on and be vulnerable and share. And I'm sure for players across the country, coaches across the country, we appreciate your availability for first 47 years, and hope for many more. Okay.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate Craig asking me to be on. He felt like this was something that I was able to be able to share. And we always talk about when you go to clinic, if you can just get one idea.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I hope that I can reach a lot of people in the coaching profession to make sure you do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, and don't push it aside. And that's one thing that I found out since this has happened, especially the prostate, is so many guys that I have gotten calls from that have had it, and so many of them are dealing with it now. And you never know. Yeah. But once you put it out there, people are willing to reach out to you. Yeah. And I'm always here. I'm always available. And I'm just so glad that I've been able to touch some of the people that I've been able to touch and talk to since my diagnosis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate you, Coach. We'll definitely be cheering you on, and hopefully get the opportunity to shake your hand as we're there in Charlotte for this upcoming AFCA convention, okay?
Okay, look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks a ton, Coach. Later.
CoachComm has been delivering tough headsets for tough teams for more than 31 years. It's why 97% of FBS teams and thousands of high schools across the country rely on CoachComm. Get the best for your team. Visit CoachComm.com for more info.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. If you'd like to learn more about this week's episode, head over to AFCA.com. There, you can access every episode and find corresponding show notes. Remember, you can catch every episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm on wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. While you're there, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Your feedback helps us improve and grow. Keep up with the latest news by following us on social media. Connect with us at Inside the Headset, and remember to tag us when you share your favorite episodes. For more updates on all things AFCA, be sure to follow the @WeAreAFCA social media accounts. If you're not a part of the AFCA community yet, visit AFCA.com to join thousands of NFL, college, and high school coaches nationwide and across the globe. Elevate your coaching game with an AFCA membership. You'll gain exclusive access to the annual AFCA convention, magazine, digital library, and AFCA Insider email. Stay up to date with the latest stories and news on the AFCA website. More than just a convention, the AFCA offers continuous education, guidance, networking, and more. Celebrate the past and shape the future with the AFCA. It's about fostering exceptional coaches who create outstanding teams and even better individuals. Invest in your skills and make a lasting impact today by engaging with the AFCA. Your journey starts here.